All right, good morning, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, December 21st. Great to see Brad, Grant, Wayne, Ronnie, and all of us just here inside the live trading room. Of course, if you're on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, you could tell this is not Fausto. Once again, Josh Levitan here tagging in for Fausto this morning. He's actually on a company call right now, just pretty important. So he wanted to make sure that he got all the good info for us, at least here ahead. So with that, there's a lot to talk about this morning, not in relation as much to the pre-market. I hate to say that. This has been one of the slower pre-markets. It's been more of a drag throughout the early hours this morning. Normally, you'd expect, if anything, after 8 o'clock Eastern time, the infamous 8 a.m. move, as Grant and I like to call it inside our live trading room. You'd like to think that there'd be a nice move coming off of news, something out there for us to take. And with the pre-market watch list we ended up posting early on this morning, I'll post that there on YouTube right now. We had the LASE, the CACO, a couple of others out there. You'd think that maybe one of them would make a continued move up higher, a higher low, if anything. LASE here to start. This was my horse, at least in pre-market. I'm down a little bit early just from taking, a couple of small losses on this at first, a couple of break evens and a couple of losses from that point. So a few different trades, but this just kept making lower highs or just failing to break higher. I ended up just using fibs here, if anything, from the close yesterday up towards the pre-market high early. So maybe now it can make a bounce off of the 61.8. I was looking for that to be right around like the 50%, right around 186, 187. I had a historical level from my daily chart off 187. Maybe right place, wrong time. But either way, LASE is just the embodiment of this morning here, folks. It feels like a Fed day. It's really not. Obviously, we're heading into the holiday, Christmas, and we're in Hanukkah right now. So a lot of us are obviously busy spending time with families. I just mentioned yesterday in the afternoon, I got back from New York, just spending time with my family. And I'm assuming the same to be said for all of us here, like Sam and Lawrence, Michael, Leda, all of us inside our live trading room. You're taking the time to do things around the house, spend time with family, and otherwise just maybe life altogether, work, health, etc., taking you away from the market. So, that's kind of the theme here across this week. We had a really nice start. Monday, Monday pre-market was actually really good to us. And then really throughout the day, that Monday was pretty nice. And then Tuesday, typical Tuesday yesterday, markets were kind of wonky heading into the afternoon, making the lower highs. But, for right now, we'll see what else is out there in pre-market. Maybe as I'm going right now, there could be a nice stock that we can look to, call out right now live. I'd rather just go right from top to bottom. There were a couple of trades from yesterday I could talk about, the ICCM, the CPRX. I know TAL was one of the big movers, and that was actually on our pre-market list also this morning. So I could at least go over this first, then we'll go from top to bottom. But you can see now TAL, TAL pulling back a bit here. So, TAL was a great trade from yesterday, ended up taking off shortly after the market had opened up, but just kept giving, kept going and going, ended up squeezing above 810, big iceberg order. It re-broke over. From that point, ended up lifting off steady by like 945, 950. So, made a really nice run up, but the bigger talking point on this trade is the eventual gap that we're looking to see this fill. I think this peak here is right off of 967, 968 right here. So it's getting closer and closer really by the day. It's, in hindsight, you could say it's a great swing trade. We're not really looking to swing trade these Chinese education companies. I mean, Fausto, I think, was talking about the EDU maybe a month ago, but now at this point, these are really just day trades that we're looking to keep our eye on. So eventually, if we happen to see the gap begin to get filled, that could allow for an even more explosive run on this TAL. But for right now, it's been a dud also in pre-market, right? Not much happening really since after 8 o'clock. So I was hopeful to see continuation. Really haven't gotten it. You don't want to fall in love with the stock too much, folks. So I'll definitely keep this on our side list. It's really tradable. Otherwise, after the market opens up, meaning the order book fills in a lot more. It's a lot more liquid, tight spread, all that good stuff. But with that in mind, though, let's just see what else is out there. I know John's calling out the SINT trade, SINT. Perhaps that just made the pop after 9 o'clock. And there we go. Nice pop after 9 a.m. once we started the meeting. So from like 725, 750, pushing up right now over 950 here. Let's just take a look at the news right now, folks, for all of us in social media, all of us just inside the live trading room. Give me a quick second. I'm just going to jump on Benzinga Pro. So SINT-X Technologies awarded phase 1 contract for $150,000 from the Missile Defense Agency for electrochemical machining. That's actually the headline that just came out right at 9 o'clock. I'll post that on YouTube, actually, for all of us exclusively there. I'll post it right there for you folks. Now, here at CTU, we don't really care about the news. I mean, we do, but not to sound too ignorant, we care a lot more about where the iceberg orders are. So that's where we just mentioned earlier, our pre-market watch list, you'd hope to see at least one of those things make a move. Man, this was a drag this morning, right? So, hey, there were a bunch of headlines that came out, but nothing really stuck. So the same could be said here after 9:30. This unfortunately could, pull back down again. But for right now, a really strong move up. The order book is pretty thin. So hopefully that fills in a lot more. But yeah, for right now, Synth, definitely a good call. Hopefully this continues. We'll put this on our list to start. Already the number 2% gainer, at least here on the hot list. I mean, I feel like there could be like one or two more that this is like failing to catch, but we'll see what else is out there. All right. EVYA, actually, we are pretty familiar with this stock over the years. This thing has made a pop for us, more of a day trade than anything. You could just see it's taken a huge hit otherwise, long term. I didn't even realize it was like 24 cents, so I shouldn't have even clicked on it. But again, we keep going through. We got the ADCT trade, another one from our pre-market list. Just a dud. It was already trending down prior to 8 o'clock. So that one is I was actually like the least hopeful for, but it is shortable technically from TradeStation from my platform here. So this actually could have been a short trade in hindsight, right? That's not exactly what the initial plan was after 8 o'clock. It would be to see higher lows, a move, to break higher up towards 4. Just never got it. So could I put this back on our list? I could, but I even want to see what else is out there first. I'm sure I'll likely end up slipping this on here at the end, but let's see if there's anything moving better. CACO, same thing, right? This was a giant dud this morning. BYSI, it had popped after I put the list out, I think after 8 o'clock, but then ended up just failing to show any more volume, completely died off and just fell flat. So that brings me back to LASE. LASE, at least the order book is pretty liquid, right? So that leads you to think that there's a pretty good chance we'll see this make a move at some point today. Hopefully that's pretty soon after the market opens up. I think there was some news that came out on this LASE trade as well. I'll tell you, that Cint news that came out was kind of underwhelming. It was a $150,000 contract. That's like next to nothing. I mean, you hear like, government deals like worth billions. So even on that Cint trade, I'd be a little careful on. The LASE news that came out for this stock, LASE, Laser Photonics shares trading higher after the company announced it received an order from the largest glass manufacturer in North America. So, again, not like the biggest headline out there. It doesn't show like the terms of any sort of deals for this trade, but if this could hold support, perhaps there could be a higher low and a bounce back up, even if it's up to 2 and then it holds from there at resistance. I don't mind just putting this on our list. It's more low risk, more of a level 1 stock. It is still technically trending down, so that's where I say just be careful be careful when. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when the volume will die off. So just be mindful of that. Nike, NK, a little expensive, but this has actually been one of the better movers across the whole pre-market in any direction, up or down. Obviously, ended up making a big pop in the after hours yesterday. My assumption would be off of earnings. I'll just quickly check that. I don't really care as much. I mean, pretty expensive stock, so we're not going to really look to follow it as much unless if you want to do option calls on it. But yeah, it looks like ended up reporting earnings, then a bunch of firms out there giving ratings on it, price targets. Deutsche Bank with the target of 133. All right. But yeah, a little expensive for our liking, at least here. So, it'll be on secondary protocol. It'll be on the B list, if anything, as Fausto would say during these meetings. SLDP, a little cheapy here. Not a whole lot happening otherwise. Again, kind of the embodiment of this pre-market. This could be definitely a good day for the side list. FedEx making a similar earnings type of squeeze compared to Nike. And that just about does it from the gainer side. Oh, man, it's been a dud meeting so far, I'll tell you. Cint and LASE so far, that's it. I mean, maybe we do focus on Nike at the end of it all, right? I mean, it's moving off of news. So maybe just lower the share count and, just trade responsibly on it. It's going to have a pretty thin book, when the market opens up. All right, so ICCM, as we hop over to the loser side right now, ICCM ended up making such a good move from yesterday. So let me at least go over that briefly if I can. It was more from the... Oh, wait, you know what's funny? You know what's funny about this stock? I forgot. I'm just catching it right now off the top of my head. I opened up my book map this morning. How about this? Little story time since I have the time right now. I open up my book map this morning and I load it up and I see ICCM like kind of out of whack like this. Like, see how this price axis is so messed up? That's just the only thing I'm mentioning. See how this is like messed up? Normally, it'd be a lot more centralized, centrally focused. Well, when you typically see this, especially in pre-market without the wacky vertical lines, actually, I think the stock is halted. And looking at the TradeStation chart now, this is yesterday's move, not this morning's move. This is the after hours. This thing got halted at 454, 455 in the afternoon yesterday and has not reopened yet. This is the move that we caught yesterday morning on this ICCM. So this thing is not looking too good. It could be in relation to direct offering of shares out there or common stock offering. That's just my like loose shoot from the hip guess. I could easily be wrong on that, but nevertheless, though, ICCM from yesterday made a really strong pop and run. A lot of us took advantage on this trade. Roseanne, Allison did. A bunch more. I apologize. Elizabeth, I know Chris did a bunch of trades on it. John got some money on it, I recall. A few more of us otherwise inside our live trading room. My apologies if I didn't shout you out there. But really, it was like 10, 12, if not more traders that took profits on this run up here. So it was really nice to see. But with that in mind, though, what goes up comes back down. Just look at the daily chart back from last year. So, that's where we say history often repeats itself in terms of these day trades. You never want to hold this as a swing trade. You never know when it's going to make that big drop, sudden pullback, or hell, if it gets halted off of news of any sort. So, this was already tanking going into the close. But yeah, I mean, this thing is not looking too good here. Even if there's any direct offering of shares out there, it's likely going to gap down even more. So we'll pass on this for right now. If it ends up reopening up during the market hours, then we'll focus on it from that point. But it's going to be a waste of time otherwise, I feel. So we had Boyle natural gas ETF up on the gainer side this morning. I don't really focus on the ETFs too often unless if they're really showing great direction. Now at this point, coal dropping back down a little bit here, but I mean, again, those are all kind of on my B list for right now. The secondary protocols, Fausto would say again. All right, and with that, market's up a tiny amount. I guess UVXY down this morning percentage-wise, but again, same deal. ETF, I mean, unless if it was really running upward, showing great direction for us to make money on long, I wouldn't really focus on it. All right, so that brings me to the side list stocks. Otherwise, anything else that could move with the market or making some sort of stronger move. Like yesterday, I know XPEV was up over 6%. By the time we ended up kind of like turning over to it, it was kind of near the end of the run. But XPEV in a down market, this was moving really well going up. So, that's why I always want to check out some stocks that we like frequently call out from our side list. COSM, it's a gamble stock, I'll still call it, but I ended up making a nice little squeeze early, from 8:30. LASE trying to make that bounce right now from that fib level. That's one of two stocks I have on the list. That's all. Geez, that's not good, folks. Got the news right now from one of our longtime students, Barb. Right now, I'm just catching it from private chat. I appreciate that, Barb. ICCM $1.65 offering is the news. Boom, there we go. If I was wrong, I wouldn't have been surprised if I was wrong, but nevertheless, that's typically when you see a cheap stock like make such a big run up and then it gets halted on the way down suddenly. If it's off of news, at least, if it says news pending, at least. More often than not, that news would be some sort of direct offering of shares. Hell, it could drop off without the news like that, but when it says news pending, typically that's your tell. All right, so I'll tell you one of two stocks. This is it, LASE and Cint. That's all we got, folks. Oh man, this is a really slow open. It seems like that MDIA stock completely tanked. That was from earlier this morning. We had our eyes on big iceberg that popped up shortly after the run. We had called that out, and from there, completely fell apart. I mean, we don't want to force anything out there, folks, but I feel bad even putting just two stocks on our watch list and that's it. I'm typically known for pumping out like a larger watch list compared to Fausto, over the 30 plus years Fausto has. I mean, he's got like 22 years on me in terms of trading experience. I've been here for 8 plus now, Fausto 30 plus. In Fausto's 30 plus years experience, he does a really good job at keeping it simple. He does a pretty good job at consolidating a watch list down, getting right to the point. I tend to see the opportunity in a lot of trades, long or short, like that ADCT trade, actually, if we go back to, you know what? we only got 2 stocks on our list. So if I were to go back to 1 and put anything on our watch list now, this doesn't look too great as a long. Don't get me wrong, folks, but I don't mind putting this on our list now at this stage, this ADCT. So now we got 3. All right. Maybe we'll focus on TAL after the market opens up, but this still doesn't look too great here. I only put it on our watch list in pre-market after 8 o'clock. Or for after 8 o'clock, yeah, really just on strength at the time, but it's kind of making lower highs now. After the open, I'm sure we'll make some sort of call out on it for all of us inside our live trading room. All right, but for all of us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, again, Fausto should be back tomorrow morning. He just had to attend a quick meeting early on at 9 o'clock, kind of bad timing there. But otherwise, if you have any questions, folks, feel more than free to send over an email right to josh@c2trading.com, whether it be in the morning or afternoons. I always like to post my email at the end of these meetings. Or otherwise, if you wanted to join us inside our live trading room, just go right down to the link on the blue banner below the stream right there to get yourself started. For Leda, John, who picked up some money just now on that Sint. So very nice job from John. For John and Grant, Michael, Leda, Dylan, and all of us inside the live trading room, I look forward to talking to you folks coming up at the opening bell. Take care.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.